All right. Yeah, back. So I'm going to talk about the VIPassana course that I did, or VIPassana. You can Google the pronunciation. I'm not sure how you say it. There's no H, so I don't do the sharp part. Um, I am going to discuss not too much about what was actually in the course, not to sound too sus or anything. Yes, I've drunk the Kool-Aid. I'm a part of the cult. I'm all for it. I want everyone to do it, but I understand not everyone can do it. And I'm not going to do it any justice by trying to simplify something so complex in a sentence or a paragraph. You can read up about it. I personally kind of went in a bit blind, which is not, which is, yeah, not like me. Um, I think it's good to go in blind because a lot of people have these expectations of what it should be, and other people's experiences where you should just kind of go in. And I guess in this video, what I want to talk about, I'll talk about like kind of the structure and what I experienced and probably what I wish I would have known or wish I did. Um, yeah, so let's talk about the schedule. Now, it is pretty intense. It's a 10-day course, and they're about 17-hour days. Now, that's pretty full on, hence why, be prepared, but I kind of, yeah, the expectations. I think the thing that surprised me the most is that people didn't know they were going to, like, break. Like, it's pretty full on. You are in a camp. Um, you are eating vegetarian. There's no communication. 10 days, 17-hour days. So straight away, if that freaks you out, then don't don't do it. Like don't go in there. I've heard again when I was reading up a little bit on it. Yeah, I heard like you start with 10, 20, 30, 40 people, and by the end of it, there's like a fraction left. And I was like, oh, okay, well, that's really intense. Personally, in my group, my male group, oh, yeah, it's segregation as well, male and female. Um, I think two people left. But yeah, stick through it, man. Like, you're going to break. Like, but that's like a good thing. It's like one of those things that, again, heard from movies and shows, like, they break you down and then you build up stronger. It's just like bone and muscle, right? You break down and then it's like a surgery, right? It's going to be intense, but you'll hopefully be better after it. Um, the only other time I remember breaking like that was when I did my first solo travel in my early to mid 20s. Someone did mention it. Like, I think it was like a week in or the second week in, and I was with my boys and we're over in Mykonos and I was, on the island for like 6 months. And it's just that adjustment period. That's what it is. So your whole routine, your structure, everything is just thrown out the window. So that's going to take time to adjust, right? That just makes sense. It makes sense now. Like, it made sense to me before, but I guess it probably makes sense to people afterwards. So, all right, let me talk about the schedule because, yeah, 17 hours a day. So I guess the first gong goes off at like 4 a.m. and then it's lights off at 9:30 p.m. Yeah, 4 a.m. to 9:30. Um, and yeah, there's gongs to tell you what is happening at what time. Um, I'm going off with the top of my head, so I'll try to be a bit coherent. I might contradict myself. I'll write it out. I'll figure it out, and then I'll write it out in the description what the exact thing is. Um, oh, the biggest thing. Actually, I'll talk about that later. So schedule. So 4:30, there's a gong. 4 o'clock, 4 a.m. There's a gong, and then 4:30. So you have that half an hour to kind of get your shit together. 4:30 to 6:30, there's you head to the hall, or you could practice in your room. So let's call these practice sessions. Now, at the start, I wanted to practice in my room because I didn't want the distractions, right? I didn't want people moaning and groaning and coughing and moving around and stuff like that. I was too distracted, especially early on before you learn any of this stuff, right? So I was like, well, I'll do it in my room because my dorm was empty. Everyone was in the hall. I could sit on my bed or this stool or this like little dresser bedside table thing and put my back against the wall. And I realized very quickly, like, I thought that would be better for my focus, but it's not. It's, I guess, similar. I never did this, but I think it's similar to when you were to study, maybe in your messy bedroom or go to the library and study. It's just being in the zone, in that atmosphere, right? Um, Also, that thing about body doubling. You know that thing where you're just more focused when everyone else is in the room doing the same thing, so you kind of do it? I think that's a thing. I'm not sure. So you have these practice sessions. Now you can get up, you can leave. You can, stretch it out, get a drink, have your drink bottle, all that stuff. So they're the practice sessions. But the main sessions are 1 hour sessions. They're group sessions. They're the mandatory sessions. You need to go to the hall. And there's one at 8 o'clock, so 8 to 9. There's one at 2:30 to 3:30. And there's one at 6 to 7. Now, lunch, breakfast, and dinner, or tea. Some people call it tea around the world. I'll explain why later. That it makes more sense to call it tea instead of dinner. I'll explain it now. You don't get dinner. It's about just having a full stomach and stuff like that. You just get like a piece of fruit, something small. And then I think for old students, because there's returning students, they just drink lemon water. So they actually don't drink tea. I don't know how caffeine runs into it. Okay, tangent, sorry, going back. So that's tea, dinner, supper, tea. Lunch is at 11. Breakfast is at 6:30. So you'll have practice sessions and then you'll have some free time. Now the free time I can't really remember, so that's where I'm gonna have to write it down below. So backtrack. Let's see. 4 a.m. there's a gong. 4:30 go to the hall or to your room, and then there's a 2-hour session. 6:30 breakfast. The dining hall is like a 45-minute thing. So you should clear out by that time, but you're eating small, vegetarian meals, so, you don't need to hang around. 6:30 breakfast. 7:15 you should be out of there, so you have this free time to kind of walk around, stretch it out, do whatever. They don't do hardcore exercise, no running. I think that's more of a distraction for everyone else. Then there's also, they talk about not doing other techniques and other practices. They said specifically don't do yoga. I saw a dude doing yoga all the time. And that's more to give the course and this technique, give it all your attention. Don't think that it isn't working or it is working. Don't muddy the waters with other techniques and routines and stuff like that. So 7:15. So then the next session's at 8, and 8 to 9. Then from 10 to 11, that's like another practice session. From 9 to 10, I think is a practice session. From 10 to 11, I think you have free time. From 11, there's lunch. From 1:30 to 2:30. No, from 1 p.m. to 2:30. So that's a 1.5 hour practice session. Then 2:30 to 3:30 is a group session. Then 3:30 to, when did I say dinner was? 6 or 5:30? Can't remember. But that's another practice session. Then at 6, there's the main session, another group session, 6 to 7. Then there's little breaks in between, by the way, where they're not much longer than 5 minutes. I'll come back to that as well, the 5-minute break. And then there's the discourse. So this is the most important part, I think, at the end of the night, and that starts around 7:30, and ends at around 8:30, 9-ish. And then 9-ish, there's a questionnaire where you stay back in the hall and you can ask the teacher questions. Now, like I said, there's no communication, but with all the other people, they even say, like, don't even gesture. Kind of be in your own zone. Pretend you're the only one there. But there's obviously the teacher, and you can talk to them at 9 o'clock to ask them questions. You can also book in a session at 12 p.m, midday. That's why there's a big gap there. And then, because the genders are separated, they each have their own kind of manager, so you can talk to your manager. So, especially someone like me, one of the biggest things is like, oh my god, are you going to freak out? Like, you're not going to be able to talk. I talked every day because I was talking to the teacher, I think twice a day for both sessions, and I was talking to the male manager pretty much every day. So there, that's it. Now, I'm not going to talk too much about the technique. I can't remember what I said at the start of this video, but it's just like a boot camp. You're going there, it's a course, right? You're going to learn something. You're going to learn this technique. Now, this technique, obviously, that's why it's so intense, because you get all this time to practice and do these sessions, right? Your focus is doing this technique and learning this thing that will hopefully you will continue to practice when you go back home, and you will continue to get better, and your life will get better. Um, just like, I guess, going to a boot camp and staying at this camp and learning how to stretch and move your body and understand, okay, what, like a fitness thing, right? It's you're learning to do this thing, you're practicing and you're understanding, and it just takes that much time. You can't just watch. I mean, I guess you can try. I was never good at online courses, but you can understand doing an online course and just watching a video as opposed to actually being in this environment. And if anything, if you don't get anything out of it at all, just the detox of it, the detox of communication, the detox of eating junk food, and the detox of your phone. Oh my goodness, like that was the biggest thing that I knew I was going to get out, because I was like, okay, if I do fail, if I don't do it properly, if I, if anything, at least I'll be detoxing from my phone, you know. And there's a few just simple things I didn't realize. Like, I understood after I met my wife, or actually when we were dating, just how good getting out to nature is, and just we're just bombarded by all this stimulus and stuff. So these camps. It feels weird saying camp. Even they do refer, when you talk to people, you're like, oh, it sounds like a prison. It kind of is. Like, but this is the point. Like, you need to be in that environment to get the benefit of it, to really get into it. And yeah, don't bail. You're gonna want to bail. Don't do it. Try and push through. And they do the interview process. I did 3 actually. Like, they're pretty stringent on it, because obviously I was a bit too honest with my questionnaire. So then I had to fill out another questionnaire, and then they ended up giving me a call. So I was a bit too honest about my life, what I'd been through, substances, stuff like that. So obviously they want to be strict? No. Diligent. They want to be diligent with who they let do the course, right? And there's long waiting lists. You don't want to freak out and just have a meltdown in front of like everyone. So, if you have addictions and stuff, don't be like, oh, this thing's going to fix it. It will definitely help. But if you can't even make it through a weekend without doing whatever you think your addiction is, then I wouldn't do this course. Test it out. Try whatever you think you're addicted to. Don't do it for the weekend. Try not to do it for that working week, and try not to do it for that next weekend. If you can knock that out, then definitely, I reckon you should do this. But yeah, I think the isolation gets to people. Being alone with your thoughts is pretty intense. If you've never, done any sort of mental fitness thing, I can see how it can be really intense. But then again, if you haven't done anything in that world, it's kind of good, because I think we hear so many different things where it just muddies the water kind of thing. I think the biggest thing, or the biggest shock to me, is that it's really factual. It's non-secular. They want everyone to do this. They want everyone to benefit from it. It's not religious. Like, that's a big thing. Like, my parents are pretty religious, from the area that this kind of, originated from. And I don't know how they'll handle it. I wish everyone could do it. I want everyone to do it, but I understand not everyone can do it. And another thing, like, I understand all courses will be different, depending where you do it. I mean, I did it obviously in my area, in summer, and I'm assuming courses will be done differently in different places. But like, one thing that they're very, adamant about is that it should be free. And there's places that charge. So already I'm just like, because you're like, what's the catch, right? That's like, what's the catch? Like, who's benefiting from it? Who's getting the money? And you realize, like, it's not. Like, you can't really fault it. It's not for everyone, but you can't really fault it. All the cultish kind of stuff. It's like, well, who's benefiting from it? Okay, first of all, money. There's no money involved. Like, you can donate afterwards, but they're more about give you time. They give you money. And then I'm like, okay, we'll tick that. That's a big one. Because as soon as you start putting money into things, then I'm just like, okay, well, like who's benefiting from this? Like who's getting the money out of this? And then you say, well, you need to put in money so then more people can benefit and they can open more centers. But this one's free and everything. They even had, is it Asco? Had like kick-ass like washing machine. Because of like from they're the ones with the rubber. No, there's no rubber seal. Like it's steel rim. Anyway, tangent. But you know, it's all from donations, and you people that do this course, they kind of do want to, they do kind of want everyone to do it, and I guess now I can understand with those religions where they're knocking on doors and they want everyone to join, because you have this awesome thing, right? And you're like, man, I wish everyone had this, right? But they're not really strict with the rules, although they are. But so okay, let's talk about the rules. What time are we at? 15. Oh, it's a bit long, but there's a lot to talk about. So let's talk about the rules. So, essentially, what you're doing is living the monk lifestyle just for those 10 days to really get into it. They understand that the monk lifestyle or nun lifestyle isn't for everyone back home, but just for these 10 days, just do it. Just so, like, you know, I should know these, but so was the noble silence. So there's the no communication. There was no substances, no sex, vegetarian. What was the fifth one? No, I've stuffed this up because there's also no lying and no stealing. I forget how many things there are, but it's just for like 10 days. Like, can you do this for like 10 days? And yeah, you're not gonna figure this out. You're not gonna become enlightened. You're not gonna be like, oh yeah, I figured it out in 10 days. Yeah, bro. What else? Like, this is the other thing. Like, it's about removing all your other responsibilities. Monks and nuns don't have responsibilities, and if they put all their energy into this, yes, you'll get to that point because they got nothing else to do, or nothing else to worry about, right? No responsibilities. So yeah, just doing that for that 10 days is just awesome. How often am I going to do it? I want to do it at least once a year. They have smaller courses for like 3 days. I remember talking to one dude saying like the 3 days, like by the third day, you just kind of get back into it. So it's kind of not worth it. But I think I'll still try it. And then, yeah, the whole thing. So yes, you can give donations, but what they're really about is serving. So you go back as a server, and you can still do like the sessions. So yeah, I want to go back and do that. My wife already done that. She had done that 6 months earlier. She is planning to go back as well. And yeah, I think that's everything I want to say in this video. I just want to sum it up that it's a course. You go to learn something. You go to learn a technique. Just like learning a fitness technique, it's a mental technique, and I think it's really good. I think it's really basic. I think it's for everyone. It's basic. It's hard, but it's basic. It's in like the way they talk about it. There's no like rituals. There's no mantras. There's no gods. There's this is the thing, and I don't want to talk too much about the technique and the course because I don't want to butcher it. But it's all about you, because at the end of the day, you're the only thing that's true. If you get me, you know what I mean? Like, you don't really know anything else but yourself, what you're feeling, that you could say is an absolute truth. They don't want you to focus on mantras and imagery and verbalization and visualization is what I struggled with, because they're like, no visualization. I'm like, well, how can I think of something and not visualize it in my head? But then there's those people that, you know, they don't have no inner monologue, like they can't picture things in their head. Okay, I'm getting off topic. I think I'm going to leave it there. We're almost hit 20 minutes. Yeah. And again, apologies for like going off grid and social. I should have posted this before I left, because I've had a lot of messages and people wondering where I am. Sorry, all the birthdays. I knew it was your birth. Come on, it's me. I know it's your birthday. I will now send you messages and catch up on all the birthdays I missed, which I didn't, but you know what I mean. Anyway, I'll leave it at that. Take care. Yeah, I'm going to keep up with these videos, and yeah, take it easy. Talk to you later. Peace.